I'm in my element, back in my element.
Timmy really pulled it off with this tuning. I think it's overall extremely well done.
I'm doing me, I'm in my element. We the new delegate, tapping and see. I don't sit and worry about who's on. Back in my bag, there's a new on. Kettle on my wrist, it's a two-tone.
What my sound preferences are. I like bass. I like, and if it can have quantity and quality, yeah, I'm rocking it. Especially mid bass. I like the slam over the sub bass rumble. I like my mids super clean. Not a big fan of overly colored, overly thick, overly warm mids. Not a big fan of that. And highs that are very sweet and seem to be able to keep up without ever being overbearing or in your face. So
tapping and see. I'm in my element, back in my element. 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 I'm in my element. This is easy as a layup. I don't show if you don't pay up. Long nights had to stay up. Put in hours while you late up. I can sit around and wait up. I'm gon' have to see you later. Giving tips like a waiter. Either tell them or you fade them. I'm in my element, back in my element. 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 I'm in my element, don't care about relevance. I'm doing me, I'm in my element. We the new delegate, tapping and see.
At its price point, it is unbelievably well put together. At $299, I can't say enough good things about this set. Hello, welcome to today's video on the Tone Deaf Monk channel. Today's puff piece / review will be on GIZAUDIO's, you know Miss Timmy, and DUNU's collaboration called the DaVinci. Now, straight up, I'm gonna say thank you to Timmy for putting in the effort and working with DUNU to come up with this collaboration. I have said in the past that I'm not a fan of collaborations, but I'm eating my words. And if that's what it took to get this to the market with this kind of tuning, then 2 thumbs up, congratulations, and well done. Now, this was a super easy review to do for me because before it even got to my ears, my juices were flowing. Now, when I hear biocellulose drivers, I know those typically have a kind of organic and deep sound. I really like the sound of biocellulose drivers, and this has 2 of them in it. Then there were BAs, and I like BAs for the mids, and I like BAs for the highs. So all of it kind of sounded fantastic together. That, with the fact that this is sub $300, in fact, you could even, it recently went on sale when it launched at $249. I think that's pretty damn standout, and I'd love to see more of these tunings come out. Maybe one day I'll do a collaboration. And with this kind of relaxed pin gain, with this kind of bass shelf and this extra mid bass in there that I so very much love. I'll get to sound in a bit here. Let's talk about what's inside the DaVinci. Now, these have these kind of wooden faceplates, but word of caution is that the pictures that you are seeing online may not be, when you get it in real life, as saturated and as bold as you get. My set is beautiful, but it didn't pop out like some of those pictures. I'm not disappointed. I can't really see the IEMs when they're in my ears, which is the most important part. Now, there's a 10 millimeter for the biocellulose driver for sub bass. There's another one, a smaller driver, an 8 millimeter for, I'm assuming, mid bass. There's 2 BAs for mids, 1 for highs, and 1 for ultra highs. With all of that, a 5-way crossover to divide it up and make sure each driver is doing its job. Now, cohesively, the DaVinci is tickety-boo. It's very well blended together. You can't tell where one comes in, one blends out, and it's very well done. So, again, that takes a tremendous amount of work on everyone's part to actually make that all happen and sound very nice. They all play nicely together. So my listening impressions, just so you know, in this video was using the stock Leo cable. And again, it's one of DUNU's new ones. It's modular. Comes with the 3.5 and the 4.4 end. It screws together beautifully. Though mine keep unscrewing rather easily, but I'll talk about cables. You might not be a cable believer. Doesn't matter to me because I do. And I'm going to share a little bit at the end of this video. But so all of my listening impressions are done with the stock cable. I'll be honest and I'll say I also know some of the ear tips that also happens to work for me and how I want to sculpt my IEMs. And in this case, I'm using the Fayoul H570 tips. They actually are kind of funneled like this in a very wide bore for a great stage, but I find it does something nice into the upper mids and treble that I find typical wide bore tips don't do. So these really worked well for me on the DaVinci. Let's jump into this review, and I am going to pull up my target curve right now. Okay, so that's on the screen, and you can see how I like sub bass. I don't mind it rolled off at 20-30 hertz a little bit, no problem. And I like a nice glide into the mid bass. And I like lots of information there because it adds weight. It adds weight to instrumental like pianos and 6-string instruments, cello, kick drums, and I like the authoritative sound that produces. And when it doesn't go too far into the mids, I find it colors it in a really nice way. So let me play back my little clip of what I want for bass, of what my sound preferences are. I like bass. And if it can have quantity and quality, yeah, I'm rocking it. Especially mid bass. I like the slam over the sub bass rumble. Okay, so did the DaVinci, sorry, DaVinci, do that? Yes, for the most part. It's getting a huge check mark in that category, with some cravats, and we're going to get into some sound impressions later. And let's talk about that bass for a second. It is very sub-bass focused over mid-bass, but there's still lots of information in the mid-bass. There is zero complaints from this monk on the DaVinci's bass. The bass bleeds into the lower mids exactly like I like, except for maybe it's just a little bit too much on some songs. But it's darn close to perfection for me. It does add weight to the vocals, piano, all that stuff is fantastic. That 8mm biodynamic that's doing it, if this was my collaboration, I may have put a beryllium in there to make it punchier and faster. But again, this whole hobby is subjective, and it also depends on what was available. Maybe DUNU didn't have a beryllium driver, or maybe this is just the way DUNU and Timmy wanted to tune it. Either way, it's pretty close to what I really love and think it's tickety-boo. So, I love also, I was going to get into this pin again, but I'm not. I'm going to get into this mids. I find let's play back my clip for mids and what I like for mids. I like my mids super clean. Not a big fan of overly colored, overly thick, overly warm mids. Not a big fan of that. And I'm going to give it another huge check mark there. I think, again, in a little bit of cravats, I think the mids come across beautifully, clean. And where now I do think that the extra energy down below favors male vocals over female vocals. So it colors it in, again, a very nice way, especially if you're a male vocal lover. And the genre that you listen to, rap, reggae, hip-hop, I think those also favor the DaVinci quite favorably as well. So I had lots of good listening sessions and lots of enjoyment going on listening to those genres as well. Jazz as well. I think the DaVinci in this kind of tuning with its coloration is a very good all-rounder, as long as you like this kind of warm bassy signature. Moving up into the highs, Len, let's play that clip again for my highs. The mix and highs that are very sweet and seem to be able to keep up without ever being overbearing or in your face. So yeah, again, huge check mark. It really does that. It does keep up with the bass and the mids, though would I have liked to see a little bit more sparkly in the high end? Yes. But I also found perfect synergy with the tips, the source that I used, and the cable. So let's actually I'm going to talk about that for a bit, and I think not enough people do talk about sources in their impressions, because I hear a difference from every single dongle I have tried in every source. For me, other than tips, they are the number 2 thing that changes in the sound signature of what I'm listening to in an IM. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to try and share more, not just about the source that I used, but its sound signature as well, to give you an idea of how I got there And I have tried that in the past, but I probably didn't do as good a job as I am going to do in the future. Now in dongles, I was using an EPZ TP30, which is an ESS, and I've been playing with this new Onyx Alpha with the Cirrus Logic chip in it, and both were standout. The ESS definitely has a little bit more of the top end kind of glariness, where the Onyx did not. Now in sources, the Astle and Kern Con Max, where it has a bit more of a mid-range recessed, where it has punchy tight bass and really nice sparkly highs. Fantastic pairing. Not a cheap DAP. I tried it with the Shanling M5 Ultra. Warm, bassy, thick bass. Not the best pairing for a warm IM. Too much of a good thing is not a good thing. Same went with the Can N3 Ultra in tube mode. I found it just added a little too much syrupy into the mids, which the DaVinci does not. Lastly, I've been really playing around a ton with the Ibasso DX180. That DAP has some special sauce in the top end to add a little bit of shimmer, and bass is super tight and mids are very neutral. It turned out to be an absolute perfect pairing with the DaVinci. After I did my listening impressions and comparisons, I switched out and started playing with some cables, and I found this nice HCK SS Orpheus pure silver cable to not change the world, but it did add some upper mids and treble extra energy that just pushed the DaVinci to perfection for me. So overall, I think the DaVinci is absolutely colored in a fantastic way. It's just curvy in all the right places, like think Megan Thee Stallion song. The fun, bassy, colored sound of the DaVinci hits all of the right places for me. Now, here is the DaVinci with my target curve. And this was interesting, as I deliberately did not look at the graph before I did my listening impressions. I didn't want to sway myself, though it was very hard not to do that. And just wow, right? I mean, how close to my perfect target curve is that? Pretty darn close, you might say. Later on in this video, I'm going to do a comparison to my absolute favorite IM, which my target curve is based on, and that is the XENNS Mangared Up. And I'm also going to do a comparison to one of my other favorite IMs, the SHANLING ME600, which also falls into this price point as well, just as a comparison for you. What happens when you add that much information into the lower mids? Well, typically it does add a huskiness into the vocals. And in this case, I found the DaVinci was so close to perfection for me. It probably adds, for my personal taste, just a little bit too much. Whereas because I favor female vocals over male vocals, where I kind of wanted female vocals to pop out a little bit more information. So two things could have happened there. If the mid bass was pulled back just a tad and the upper mids were added a little bit more energy, I'm not talking a lot, but just a little bit more, that would be outstanding for me. So one of the things I noticed during my review process with this is the DaVinci really benefited from hours on it. I found that with some playtime on them, the overall IM tuning became just more mellow, more smoother. It just, the whole IM just kind of came together within itself and gelled. If that makes any sense. It does to me, but that's okay. So I also found that with some tracks, you kind of have a little bit of mid glare, and it was only once in a while with a few tracks that this kind of happened, where and I think that it sounded a bit unnatural in the mids, but that was very rarely. Other than that, I was just chilling with the set and really enjoying its playback. I don't think the DaVinci, honestly, is very forgiving also on poorly recorded tracks. It has enough finesse inside of it to tell you when something's recorded like shit. So there you go. And quite honestly, one of the other things that I keep thinking about in this set is that at its price point, it is unbelievably well put together, right? If this was a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 set, I would be much, much harder on it. But at $299, I can't say enough good things about this set. The treble has enough sparkle to keep up with the bass and the mids, and that was one thing that with a really bassy set, a lot of mid bass, you have to worry about. Otherwise, it makes the overall tuning too warm, too dark. And I found a lot of pen-on sets for my personal tastes like that. They were too warm and they were too dark, and they didn't give me enough upper energy to bring out the nuances that I found I was looking for. So Timmy really pulled it off with this tuning. I think it's overall extremely well done. As I said, I'm kind of gushing about this IM. I really had to find things I didn't like, which was very difficult when you're just loving a set and you're enjoying the music and you don't have your reviewer ears on, your critical ears. You are just engrossed, enveloped into the music, and that's what the DaVinci does for me. Now, that being said, let's pull up my all-time favorite IM, the XENNS Mangered Up. Now, this is a $700 set. Actually, for me, it's a $1,400 set. Why is that? Because I had to buy it twice. I really do love this IM so much, and the XENNS are infamously known for driver failure. Something about the drivers, the dynamic drivers, they get moisture and they get damaged. I live in a temperate rainforest. Maybe that's the reason. But when my first set came back from on tour, it came back with some nasty channel imbalance. And because I was crushed, I loved the set, and I went out and found another used set. How did the DaVinci compare against my ultimate set? Well, it's 90% there. Okay? So for me to say that the DaVinci is 90% of the XENNS Mangered Up is saying massive volumes. Okay? The XENNS Mangered Up is different configuration, single dynamic driver, beryllium, 4 BAs, 2 EST drivers, and it has the full complement of Sonyan BAs and ESTs. That's why it's also $700. I know there was some talk about in this IM of what balanced armatures are being used inside, and too many people are making too much of a big deal about this. How does it sound? There is probably no doubt in my mind that if the Sonyan BAs were used in the DaVinci, that it would have been better, but it also wouldn't have been $299, right? And I still don't know what's inside, and neither do you, and it really honestly doesn't matter. So how did the two compare? Well, female vocals on the Vinki have an added thickness to them, and I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. Again, this is subjective and what I like, but it did. The stage is more intimate on the DUNU. It is centered in your head, where the upstage has a noticeable depth and height advantage, and definitely more 3D effect. Vocals on the up sound more correct, and has a more organic sound. The up has a special EST shimmer that the BAs of the DaVinci does not. It can't pull that off, in my opinion. The A being, right, comparing on Kiss Me from Sixpence None the Richer, reveals a more fluid nature of the up's ability to reproduce mids naturally. In comparison, the Vinki goes a bit too far, in my opinion, adding in too much mid bass to a point where it does color the mids and masks female vocals and instrumental. Again, I'm being super critical here, but I just want to give you a comparison. There's a magic ratio for me with mid bass colorization. I love the mid bass. I love the extra energy and the slam it adds, and I love how it adds a fullness to instrumental. But you put in too much, and it will color the mids in a way, one way or the other. So it's a very, very tricky fine line to do that. And again, because this is a very subjective hobby, that you might like that extra thickness where I might not, right? The DaVinci would have needed to pull back just a bit in the weight for a better reproduction, for a more natural timbre, in my opinion. Again, super nitpicky here. I'm also going to compare to the SHANLING ME600s. These are $329. It uses two 6mm biodynamic drivers, two mid BAs, and one treble BA. They do a lot of stuff in this teeny little shell. So the shell is like literally half the size of the DaVinci in thickness. So it goes in deeper into my ear canals, which also is going to play a part in your sound reproduction as well. So again, I have no idea what mids are being, or what BAs are used in this one as well. And again, really doesn't matter to me. Drops of Jupiter by Train. And in this case, I wanted to also try what it sounded like off a different source. So I threw it on the X-Duo XD05 Pro with the ESS DAC. And a ton of juice. And my transport was my Samsung S24 Ultra. In this case, I'm using the middle tuning because the SHANLING has the advantage of having different nozzles that you can have different sound tunings. And I chose the middle one, which was the black nozzle. In comparison, the ME600 vocals come through less thick. This is another IEM that is Bassy Warm, but done a little bit differently. Here's the graph of the two, just so you know. And again, don't be a measure stabator, right? Don't look at graphs and think you know how it's going to sound, because the graphs are just a snapshot of really what could happen. But in-ears is really where all the impressions come from, right? So the ME600's vocals come through less thick. Piano has less note weight, so the DaVinci wins there for piano-wise. Bass is punchier on the ME600 and sounds more balanced overall. Training Season by Dua Lipa. Here the Vinky plays back more laid back again. Female vocals come through thicker, and overall this song is more chill and laid back on the DaVinci than the ME600s. The ME600 just has that more, little bit more forwardness, a little bit more energy up top, but more importantly, you can hear that because of the less mid-bass thickness. The ME600 gives you a tighter, punchier bass, and overall, for me, I would prefer the ME600 over the DaVinci for female vocals. It's more dynamic and it's more balanced in its tuning than the DaVinci. Lose Control by Teddy Swims, male vocals here. ME600 is still that bassy, warm, and punchy, crystal clear vocals, great bass and decay. And that was one of the things that I noticed versus the ME600 versus the DaVinci, is the DaVinci in the mid bass has mid bass, but that it adds the decay. So when the bass notes hit, it's not as detailed as the ME600's dual little 6mm drivers. The DaVinci plays warmer, thicker. It goes just as low, but the mid bass just doesn't have the same kind of texture and depth that the ME600 does. The vocals, male and female, have better, or should I say more correct tonality on the ME600. So the ME600 for me just has more polish on the top end as well, and stage is more 3D and has better depth and height, and that could be also because of the extra energy further on in the upper treble as well. For my ears and taste, the ME600 is the better of the two. Combine that with the smaller shell, the tunability, and the cable is nicer as well as the case. So overall, as a package, I like the ME600 for me. Now, that's not to say that I don't absolutely love the DaVinci to smithereens for what it does do. And I really, really enjoy it. Song after song, genre after genre, doesn't really matter. It's a great all-rounder for my kind of preference and its tuning. I think it's fantastic. With the Ibasso DX180, with the foul tips, with the pure silver cable of the nice HCK, man, does that... with this now, with that combination, not stock cable, I found it really cleaned up the mid bass, less thick mids, add some info up top that maybe was just missing a little bit. The SS Orpheus, and in the combination with the Ibasso's tuning, the Ibasso's source, tuning with the DX180, where it has that little special sauce to add a little bit of enhancement up top, keeping the mids very neutral and making fast, punchy bass. So with that source, with this cable, with those tips, and the DaVinci, now you're at 97% of the XENNS mangered up for me. So... am I super happy that the DaVinci came into my life? Yes. Thank you so much to Hi-Fi Go for actually sending it out to Canucks Audioholics and my channel for sharing this with you. It was a real pleasure, a real treat. I sure do love this IM. Timmy, you did a great job. DUNU, thank you for working with Timmy and creating this IM. It's wonderful. And anybody who likes kind of bassier, warmer tunings, but maybe are looking for a little bit more upper mids, a little bit more energy up top, not quite so dark, that like the penons come through, this one's for you. and I can't say enough good things about this IM at all. Great job. Thank you. And let's keep some more tunings like this happening. Love it, love it, love it. I'm out for now.